Okay, so carbohydrates, how are they stored in the human body, and what are carbs? So, first to go for what carbohydrates are. Carbohydrates are sugars built up, so sugars joined together in a longer chain, sugar, 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 all joined together make carbohydrates. So, carbohydrates break down to sugar, sugars build up to carbohydrates. So, your most common carbohydrates are bread, pasta, rice. They give you energy. So those are your main carbohydrates. How are carbohydrates stored? So there's two types of storage for carbohydrates. One, two, three. Okay, we say three. So you can store carbohydrates in your muscles and in your liver. That's called glycogen stores. So when you eat carbohydrates, and let's say your muscle glycogen stores are empty, the carbohydrates, you eat that, breaks it down. It does break down into sugar, or it depends, but it gets broken down into single bonds that goes into your blood, and then once your blood goes around your body, we'll find out which muscle stores are empty, and if they are empty, we'll slide in. So your carbohydrates stored in your muscle stores. You can make your glycogen stores bigger as well. So certain training, it gives you adaptations. So for example, high intensity interval HIIT training, the adaptations are that your glycogen stores can get bigger. So that reduces your ability to put on gain weight, as in fat, because if you've got bigger glycogen stores, you can eat more carbohydrates, and then some of it won't go to fat. If you've got smaller glycogen stores, or let's say your glycogen stores are full and then you eat carbohydrates, and obviously your liver stores are full. So after you empty you've got muscle glycogen stores, the first one before that is your liver. So if your liver is full up of glycogen, that stores roughly about 100 grams of carbs. And then let's say your muscle glycogen stores are full up as well. On average, that's about 400 grams. If you've got an 80 kilogram athlete, once your liver's full up and your muscles are full up, if you then keep having sugars or carbs or energy, then once that goes into your blood and your blood's going around all over your body, it's going to go, damn, the liver's full up, the muscle stores are full up, we've got nowhere to go. It's very bad for you to have high sugar in your blood, so therefore then your pancreas will secrete insulin. Insulin is like a car, so once the insulin's secreted, it will just drive around in your blood, pack up all the sugars in the blood, drive them around, and it will store them in your stomach. That's why you get the term insulin gut. Carbohydrates can be stored as glycogen, most importantly, and then fat. You need to know that when you eat carbs, you have glycogen stores. So if your glycogen stores are empty, you can have carbohydrates for free. Okay, so on the internet they've checked 80 kilogram man, they're saying on average stores about 500 grams of carbohydrates. So if this guy has 500 grams of carbohydrates in him, we now know 1 gram is 4 calories, so that's 2,000 calories of what I like to call it petrol fuel. So if that person wants to eat again, like eat food, he can't, otherwise he'll gain weight. So that's why you train. You have that energy, you do high intensity interval training or at a higher pace, you'll burn more carbohydrates. And then once those carbohydrate stores are down, you can then eat food again. And then you won't gain fat because you're playing with your glycogen storage levels, which is your liver and your muscles. So once they deplete, you can replenish them. Deplete, replenish. If you grow your bank so it's even bigger, you can put in so much carbs and it will just go into your bank. It's like having bigger bank vaults. Then you're not going to gain that much fat. If you've got smaller glycogen storage, you can only eat a little bit of carbs. If you eat anything above that, that's going to go to fat. So knowing about glycogen storage, you can increase your glycogen storage from high intensity interval training, and then therefore you have less opportunity to gain fat. So glycogen storage, that's what I wanted to go about. Know what glycogen is, the stored carbohydrates, and carbohydrates break down into simple sugars when you digest them. So carbohydrates are made out of sugars, and there's different types of single sugars as well. Fruit sugar is different to fruit sugar's fructose, and that's different to glucose. So make sure you know about carbohydrates. They're very important. If you cut your carbs too much, then obviously you can shrink your glycogen storage, which I've done before and as a youngster. So if you cut carbs and for the long term, you will shrink your glycogen stores, and from not doing high intensity interval training, you reduce your metabolism. So what you don't want to do is shrink your glycogen stores and reduce your metabolism and do too much aerobic work, because then if you do have a bad day or an off day, a cheat day, then your ability or your potential to gain fat is even higher. So you're going to be playing a dangerous game. So I've done that for like 10 years growing up, and then obviously learning and reading, it was like I've got to make the change and change my metabolism and increase my glycogen stores, and then the opportunity to put on fat is much lower. So that's what I wanted to go for you on that one. Carbohydrates, how they're stored in the human body.